The following program is intended for a mature audience. Viewer discretion is advised.
Fans and Hulk Hogan, I've got to ask you, how are you doing today?
Mean Gene, I gotta tell you, I'm really pumped up for today's show, man.
This I've got to see.
It's worth watching, so stay tuned.
Welcome on this Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. We want to have the Swiss Army knife. We want to pop out the Swiss Army knife for what's going on in our relationship. I watched a talk from an up-and-coming intellectual guy named Alex O'Connor out of Oxford, UK this morning. When I was on my walk here in Savannah, I shot a quick video outside. I was watching Alex O'Connor. And he talked about how there's certain beliefs that we have that we just take fully for granted. Right, 100% for granted. Our minds can't be changed, and it's very dangerous when we have ideas that we believe will never change in our life. For instance, he talks about religion. He's sort of a convert, if you will, from a religious upbringing to secularism and atheism, and he does debates. He's just a young guy. I don't know, early 20s it looks like, and he debates about religion and things like this. And his point was that even Einstein made mistakes. Einstein wanted the universe, he believed that the universe was static, that galaxies weren't coming closer together or farther apart until he proved that to be wrong through mathematical theorems. And he said that was one of his biggest mistakes, was to assume that the universe was static, that the galaxies weren't moving apart. And so even Einstein had a cognitive bias around what he thought was to happen. So his, joke was, well, you're no Einstein. Even Einstein makes mistakes within his biases, right? And the question is, could you ever think of a reason that you would disown your child or disown your children or disown your parents, let's say? And if you answer no, then you're immediately assuming that you would never change your mind about that thing. And he gives an example of that. That's a kind of extreme example of, well, if you immediately answer no, then you may not be as open-minded about your biases or your beliefs as you think that you are. And, the hint is none of us are, right? The hint is we all have unconscious bias. We all have blind spots. And I don't know, I'm going to pull this back on to Inspector Guy. So this reminds me of, we can't see the back of our own head. And that's what I say, when I found this work, I could not see the back of my own head. And that's why we're here. That's why I have a coach. That's why I have a tribe of men as well. And that's why this is your tribe of men, and you're here and you believe what we believe, that, we're here for each other. We can't see our own back of our own head. So sometimes we have to turn to the man next to us and ask, hey, where am I coming from? Or, as Billy was so graciously has said that he comes for tough love, and Roger's got a question he posted in the forum today, and I've got a couple of other questions, and we left off with a cliffhanger with Billy yesterday asking about physical contact. How much physical contact should I have? And so I love that you guys are coming in and asking about these things. Yeah, Billy, go ahead.
This is a good one, Jeff, because actually, man, I talked to Hans for 4 hours about a post, and just, we're all honest men here. So I said, hey, man, you are posting a preconceived notion about what you think you would do, but you don't know until you've been in there. It's just like the Marine that's been trained, right? And says, oh, I'll kill everyone. Then once you have another human being in the sight, are you really going to pull the trigger? So yes, everybody said, if I was in that situation, I would fucking divorce the bitch. But dude, you don't know. Yes, that's what your value, and that's what your nuts, and that's what you've said you're going to do. But dude, we all know that there's different variables, different situations, and all those things factor into the equation, right? And just like you said, so I don't say definitive statements like that anymore, Jeff. So if I was going to say, I would say, I don't know. And I hope I never have to find out if I would not love someone in my family or someone very close to me. So yeah, that's a very interesting topic. And I love just how, I don't believe in my faith that anything happens for a reason. So it's funny that me and Hans talked for 3 hours about the subject, and now you kick off with that. So just love you, brother. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't believe in coincidence. That's phenomenal, Billy. I think there's energy that bounces around all of us that we're not aware of. So I appreciate that. Yeah. Sure. Very cool. I was watching Stanford evolutionary psychologist, evolutionary biologist, Robert Sapolsky, Robert Sapolsky. And he thinks that we have no free will. And if you dig into it, I watched about a 2-hour talk of his a few days ago. I watched intellectuals. As I drove the fucking 4 days here down to Savannah, I put intellectual talks on and talks from Google, on and listened to those for, hours. So I've got my fill on during vacation last week. I was listening to that. So evolutionary biologist Robert Sapolsky says we don't have free will, but really the punchline is there's so many minute influences that we have on our life that it could never, in our terms and our understandings, it can never be unraveled. And so to me, it can never be unraveled, or scientists have no idea what our consciousness is. They have zero idea about the puppeteer. We're starting to learn about the puppet and the strings, so they say, but we have no idea where our consciousness or the puppeteer derives from. And so Robert Sapolsky, I think I'm saying that right, will say we have no free will, and yet it's such a factor of so many small, potentially biased, unknown influences, cultural, multi-generational familial influences. Let's see, confirmation bias that we learned in childhood till now, that it's all this, well, so there may be no free will, but we can't ever pull all of those factors apart. So what do you call that, right? What do you call that? Do you think that we're predestined? Is that an excuse to be in a victim mentality? Or is it a matter of, like Billy, you just said, I don't know. The pinnacle of knowledge is that you don't know everything, right? The pinnacle is you can never be 100% certain about anything. And so I love that starting point. And then, right, so let's say that's one spiritual current, as I say. It's a spiritual truth, let's say, in my opinion, is we can never fully 100% know everything. Scientists have no idea where consciousness comes from. We also don't understand theoretical physics either, as far as what's going on with subatomic particles, right? So we have no idea of the grand scape of the multiverse of potentially infinite dimensions. Okay, these are all intellectuals that I watched over the past, let's say, 10 days. So we really have no idea, is when it comes down to it. All we know is the middling stuff. We know the middling stuff. We don't know what's smaller than we understand now, and we don't know what's bigger than we understand now, and we have no idea where our consciousness comes from. So that's these currents of what we know now. And then there's our daily influences. Like I say, there's what's in our face today, the bills I have to pay this month. She says she doesn't want to ever touch my body again, or she said this, she said that. What do I do about that? There's always these multiple influences going on at the same time. I call them forever currents or spiritual currents. And then what's egoic or materialistically in our face, day to day, hour to hour, month to month, decade to decade. So there's always more than just one thing going on. And to Billy's point, it's not simple. And we only live one life. We have to have boundaries for ourselves. We have to have a framework of this is a journey. Otherwise, we have no way to comprehend evolutionary psychology, or why a woman is attracted to us, or what turns her on. We can't just say like, well, we don't know anything, sweetie, and we're all eternal beings that, and she's like, that's nice, honey. And, she goes along her way and goes out shopping or whatever she's going to do, or goes and talks to the pool boy. We're here to understand both of those dynamics and then what to do about it, right? So that's all great, Jeff, but what do we do? So that's what I'm here. I love learning the intellectual side of things, exploring the spiritual side of things, regardless of my own opinions. And then how do we nail those down into what to do day to day, hour to hour, month to month? That's what we're here for, guys. So we started off on the platform of cartoons and comedy, and we dive into the shit. And so I'd love, I need to manage time a little bit, and I love you guys. So let's start off, Billy. I want to start off where we cliffhangered yesterday.
Yes, great.
You, and then Roger's got a question, and I've got a couple more from the forum if we have time to get into it, right? So Billy, let me rephrase. You had asked, And I love you. You know, you texted me like, so does that mean I shouldn't touch her for the whole next year? And does that mean that I should wait for her to come to me? Right? You want to kind of rephrase your question for us? Is that your question?
Yeah. So, I did talk to Cynthia, so I think I kind of understand now more. It's kind of like just like how it took me. So, man, I'm very fucking thick-headed, right? So it takes me a long time. Like you tell me to slow down, and I have to wreck the Ferrari and say, "Oh shit, Jeff, sorry, man, my insurance will cover it," right? So, and someone asked for space, and I didn't know what that meant. I thought that meant to leave someone alone, and it doesn't. So same kind of thing here. So I guess it's just like to establish what, like, how far she'll allow, right? Like touching or kissing on the neck or kissing on lips or whatever, right? And then just doing that like playful, and then backing off, and then like you said, like doing a staircase, like the dance. See how, where you think you are, and then go up to that stair, and then retreat. Or if she, you thought you were on that stair, it's okay to make a mistake, and she's like, whoa, what are you doing? Then you just back off and say, oh, we're not there, and you make it very like not the little boy, because now that we're all good men that move mountains, we say, oh, you know what? You're not feeling it. That's fine, baby. You look very beautiful today or whatever. And then you just leave it at that and walk away. So I get that. And so you're just saying, like, for 12 months, establish this. Don't put any pressure on her. Don't make anything heavy. Make everything playful and fun, and see what happens.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said. So there's a couple tweaks I would say is that this is art. Right, guys?
Please,
the
yes.
dancing up the staircase,
Right.
as I call it, is an art. Dancing is an art. And so, Billy, yesterday you were kind of asking, I'll just use a metaphor of painting on a canvas. You were kind of asking, well, how much red should I put on the canvas? And it depends, right? And today you've come with more of an idea of what you want to paint, basically, which is a connected, trusting, loving relationship. And so the dancing, the art of, well, how much physical intimacy, it's pretty, and our women are putting off signals of how much they want us to come toward them, to escalate physicality. It's just a matter of, are we paying attention to their minute reactions, their breath, by the way, I'll give you one thing really quickly right now. If a woman freezes, or the more a woman stands still or sits still or holds her breath, the less that she's liking it, what's going on. So even if you move toward her, this is from David Data and John Wineland when we did that high-level, deep 3-day weekend extravaganza. It was online, but it was 400 people. So one of the minute things is, if you even slowly move toward her and she stays frozen, okay, that means she's not really liking what's going on. Either that or she's not prepared for it for whatever reason. So if she's not moving, and movement is the feminine, right? So if she's not moving, or if she doesn't, Roger's trying to do some belly dancing for us. If she's not moving, or when you touch her a bit, you get nothing from her, that means she's not really enjoying it. So you back off, you try a different angle. Maybe it's verbal. Maybe the angle is talking, verbal, engaging, asking her to step towards you. Even, hey, put your hand in my hand. Let's go over here. And if she does that, she reaches out to you and moves with you. That's movement. So just remember that feminine relates to movement, and the more she's frozen or holding her breath, the less that she's liking it. So that's a really simple rule of thumb. But Billy, so the year is an arbitrary number. It's an arbitrary amount. I like that because we go through all of anniversaries, birthdays, holidays, the seasons. We as humans live within a calendar year. It's cyclical. So it makes sense that I would say a year for all the reasons I just said, dates and things like that. And it gives us a good amount of time to work on our own self, our physical, our emotional, our intellectual, to be ready to make a different choice a year from now.
To watch the rest of this episode for free and other episodes, go to greatmenmovemountains.com/VIP. Punch in your info and watch the rest for free.